You sure you want me to eat that?
My 90 years old mother and I were reminiscing about my father. And we laughed to tears thinking about the one time my father put his foot down with me. And how he never did it again. To this day, Mom has no clue why my dad acted so out of character that day. My father was one of the most beautiful human being I've known. And 35 years after his passing, I still miss him and aspire to be half as decent and kind as he was. He had a gentle voice and manner. And he never, ever raised his voice or used harsh words with us kids. We never knew that Mom and Dad would discuss and agree on discipline behind the scenes. Because to us, Dad stayed mostly silent on the matter and Mom was the front man when it came to law and order. One rule was that we never had to eat something we didn't like. But we would have to take one bite of something new before saying we didn't like it. Other than that, we had no other food rules or pressures. And Dad, nor Mom, ever chastised me for not liking something. Like most moms 50 years ago, Mom was in charge of our food and knew better than Dad what our individual idiosyncrasies were. One of mine was that I ate most things dry, because I hated soggy food. And still do. I couldn't deal with the texture of soggy food to the point that I wouldn't have milk on my cereal, butter on my toast, and absolutely no syrup etc. on my pancakes. And I could only eat pancakes made with Bisquick commercial baking mix, because it made a very firm, dry pancake that I could eat like toast. One day when I was about 8, we were visiting Grandma who made a typical huge grandma breakfast. Spread with bacon, eggs, pancakes etc. As the pancakes were being passed out I asked if they were Bisquick. And when told they were made from scratch, I said, "No, thank you." As I handed them to my dad, he picked one up and put it in my plate anyway. I said, "But I don't like these, Daddy," to which he replied, "Your grandmother went through all this trouble, so the least you can do is eat one of them." The MMC. Malicious Mom Compliance. I can still picture Mom staring at him in disbelief. She started to explain about the Bisquick thing and how it was a really bad idea. But when Dad shot her a quick look, and she just kinda shrugged, "Okay," and said to me, "Do your best." So I took a bite. Then I chewed, and chewed, and chewed some more. But I couldn't choke down the disgusting soggy mess that was disintegrating in my mouth. And when I could chew no more, I threw up all over the table. I cried. Brother laughed. Mom sat there silently. Dad got up to get towels, gave me a kiss on the head saying it was okay, and I could be excused. It was never mentioned again. I did the same thing when my dad made me eat liver. He didn't do it again. You're lucky it stopped with that. My best friend had certain things she didn't like, liver being one, and she would refuse to eat it, and her mom would force her to sit at the table for hours until she had choked it down. And, hidden as a spoiler because this is so gross and cruel, on more than one occasion, she would throw up the food, and her mom would force her to eat the vomit, so she'd vomit it up again. Repeat until the mom got tired of dealing with it. Less than. My friend is kind of okay now, thanks to a lot of therapy, but not really that okay. Have you heard of ARFID? Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. It's diagnosed by avoiding an entire category of food. For example, no soggy food. Also being brand avoidant, or loyal, might be worth reading about. My family, husband, mother, always feel like I should eat foods I don't like at dinner parties, family events etc. out of politeness. I'm not a picky eater but certain foods I'll vomit up immediately. I can't control it. Olives, avocado, fatty meats, eggs, hard-boiled. Doesn't matter how skilled the cook is. I will throw it up and have had several embarrassing moments biting into salads, sandwiches I didn't realize had these ingredients in them. Similar but cooked mushy zucchini. Mom never made me eat it again. When I was a kid I had virtually the exact same experience. Except it was about beef liver. As in your case. After my barf was cleaned up it was never mentioned again. Lol. Teacher made me eat bananas. Once rolling on the floor laughing. I'm with you on the soggy foods thing. I still eat my cereal dry. On the pancakes. I love the taste of maple syrup on pancakes too much to skip it. The way to keep them from getting soggy is to treat the syrup like a dipping sauce. Another good option is to use jam instead of syrup. First off, this sounds a lit like your dad would have deserved a lit more years on Earth. Always sad to read that a great human doesn't see his kids become adults. Also, he was not completely wrong to have you try the food. But what really makes this story great is how in the end he sees his mistake. Shows his kid affection and acts better from there on. Many people wish they had a dad like you had. Same when my dad secretly gave me a slice of anchovy pizza. They were hidden under extra pepperoni so it wasn't obvious. It didn't end well. I love dry cereal. When I was a kid my mom would give me cereal and a ton of milk. And nothing to drink with it. She would make me drink the milk out of my bowl, which is the most awful tasting thing ever. It's funny how many people get upset with me for liking dry cereal. A similar thing happened to me. There was this dish I simply despised. Like you, I at least had to try one bite. And this dish was just a big nope. Never had to eat it even if my mother made it for others. So, one day we are at a great aunt. I was like 4 years. She made this dish. I said, nope. She said, you will eat it. My mother tried to explain that I really do not like this dish. And that I do not have to eat it. But my frat aunt insisted and, your child is spoiled and should listen to the elders. This story happened like 50 or so years ago. Times were different. My mother tried to explain that I actually loathe this dish. And that there would be consequences. But my great aunt still insisted on me eating that dish. So, my mother said to me, go on. Eat it, honey. I did that. And after the third bite I just vomited on the table. Over some of the other food as well. Before my great aunt said anything my mother said, told you. He loathed it. There is a reason we don't force him to eat food he doesn't like. My great aunt looked at her. Didn't say anything and never forced me again to eat something I didn't like. You are never too old to learn. I mean no offense, just genuine curiosity as someone with textures I hate. But how do you avoid soggy foods completely? Like a large portion of food is soggy or mushy in some way. Do you eat mostly grain and meats? My BF can't seem to grasp I have specific texture issues with food. Like I hate any pastry that is jelly-filled or cream-filled. The texture completely grosses me out and I find it disgusting to chew. The same with liver and broccoli. Though I like the taste of broccoli I just cannot chew it. It's so gross. Wow. We have the same rule. But ours is slightly different because of my own experiences that I shared with my children. Rule for food: they have to try a food item that's presented to them. Even if they know they didn't like it previously. Reason: I hated bitter gourd. Common Southeast Asian vegetable. Understandably since it's bitter. I also hated cilantro with a vengeance. I would actually pick out the teeny shredded leaves in a pho. Fast forward 3 decades and I ended up liking both. Which meant that barring any medical conditions, our tastes could change. The bitter gourd story: I picked up little cousin from preschool every day when she was 4. My hours at the office were flexible and I could just hop out. Bring cousin to the office where we'd eat lunch. Our office provided free lunch. And I gave our office secretary extra money each week to include my cousin in the lunch purchases. Anyway, one day, we had unexpected workers we had to feed. And the second round of lunch purchase has not yet arrived. You don't want a hungry 4-year-old. And so we told her. The only food was bittergourd with egg. She ate it with gusto. I had to suck it up and eat it as well. Because I can't be shown up by a child. This particular dish was cooked surprisingly well. And I suddenly just liked it. My family, including the youngest, now eat it regularly. The cilantro story. I was so hungry on a work meeting trip in China. But they only served meat dishes. The only vegetables I could pick out was really just garnish. There was a huge fried fish laid out on top of chopped cilantro mixed with chopped chili peppers. I just ate the cilantro chili combo with rice and it was just an amazing explosion of flavors. Was Grandma his mom? If so, I am going to say he acted out of character because she said something to him about your eating habits and being offended you wouldn't eat her food. You did exactly what he wanted you to do. Show your grandma why he doesn't force his kids to eat what they do not like. I wouldn't eat pizza as a kid. Mom and Dad had to stop at Bob's 19-cent hamburgers for me. One day Dad made me try it. Of course it was wonderful. Shakey's. Still have fond memories. The problem was that with 3 of us eating pizza we couldn't afford to go out for it as often. I teased them for years that they would have been better off letting me stick to those 19-cent hamburgers. My husband and cooked tomatoes. Only his dad told him if he puked, he's make him eat it. Thankfully he's past it and will eat them just fine now. Lol. You tried to tell him lol. Your mum tried to tell him haha. I want to give Tiny you a hug. Poor small op. I am with you on food texture. It's a big thing for me too. Mine was most squash. Even though I love zucchini.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.